Hi, I'm Casey from Bored with Life, and this is my die. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Except for that one time it was Brittany's. And I'm not kidding, there are many like it. Seriously, go to the Chessex booth at Gen Con sometime. But did you know that die are the oldest gaming implements known to man? Seriously, they are. Oh, and before we get too far, I want to settle something. According to the Oxford Dictionary, while the word dice is historically the plural of die, it is accepted in modern standard English as both the singular and the plural. Like deer, or moose, or mumra. After all, as Sarah Palin once tweeted, English is a living language. Shakespeare liked to coin new words too. Got to celebrate it. So, on that note, let's get started. This is the history of dice in under 6 minutes. It's widely believed that dice originate with backgammon, which itself is purported to be the oldest board game in the world. So widely believed, in fact, that such claims merited their own scene in the pilot of ABC's Lost, which is otherwise a very reputable historical source. This seems to stem from online claims that a set of dice had been unearthed in the burnt city Iran as part of an ancient backgammon set. However, the credibility of that particular find is of some dispute, and regardless, wouldn't be old enough anyways. Side note, one thing that was actually found at that excavation was a 5,000-year-old artificial eye that belonged to a female soothsayer or priestess, which begs the question, why are we not making a video about her? The oldest known board game is actually Crescent, and it's been depicted as far back as 3100 BC. Crescent requires players to cast two-sided sticks to determine piece movement. The astragal, also used in ancient Egypt, among other places, even more closely resembles modern dice. These so-called knuckle bones, taken from sheep, buffalo, or other hoofed animals, when thrown, could land on one of 4 sides. They were also used prominently for divination. So how did these astragali evolve into the gaming implements we use today? Well, the Greek poet Sophocles claimed that dice were invented by Palamedes during the siege of Troy, while Herodotus, an acquaintance and historian, said they were invented by the Lydians. But they were both dirty f***ing liars. The actual oldest dice were unearthed in a burial mound at an excavation in Basarhoyuk, Turkey. This set of dice, and the other game pieces with which they were found, along with the hieroglyphs depicting Crescent, seem to confirm that dice, as well as board games, originated in the fertile Crescent, Egyptish area over 5,000 years ago. In fact, cubicle dice marked with pips, almost exactly like the several d6s you own, have been found in Egyptian tombs dating from 2000 BC, as well as 600 BC China, and predate Arabic numerals. Pyramidal d4s dating from the same period have been linked to the royal game of which is one of the oldest complete board games itself dating back to the 3000s BC Sumer. In fact, the 20 squares game board of or a Seb as it was known in ancient Egypt, has been found in Tutankhamun's tomb, among other places.
Get a party, Pooper Cleo! Yeah.
Then for a while, nothing happens. Which brings us to Rome. By Greek and Roman times, dice were being made out of all kinds of materials, like bronze, rock crystal, jet, alabaster, marble, amber, porcelain, and onyx.
Onyx? Onyx? How do you say that word? Onyx? Onyx?
Gambling with dice got rowdy in ancient Rome and even triggered multiple laws eventually prohibiting them altogether. Side note, the earliest loaded dice used for cheating were found in the ruins of Pompeii, though they have been mentioned in texts dating as far back as the 1st millennium BC Vedic hymns. Anyways, here's a picture of a real old pot, which, as luck would have it, is the 6th century BC equivalent of a YouTube video. The Antiquity's painter, or 6th century BC Jenna Marbles, created this one between 530 and 515 BC, and it depicts Achilles and Ajax playing a dice game. Likewise, a game of dice is reportedly one of the main instigators of the Kurukshetra War, which is the central plot of the 400 BC Sanskrit epic poem Mahabharata, whose story itself is thought to originate from as early as 9th or 8th century BC. Also notable, throwing dice is mentioned on the 6th or 5th century BC list of games that Buddha said he would not play, finally proving conclusively that Buddha was a total fucking square. The Bible makes several references to casting lot, which refers to rolling dice or dice equivalents in order to find divine guidance, exercise humility, or, of course, sin. Jumping ahead to the Middle Ages, dice games were so popular among knights at the time that, when they weren't savagely murdering people, they created dice gaming groups, much like the nerds of today. During this time, dice makers' guilds also acted as governing bodies forbidding fraudulent or loaded dice. A set of dice have also been found in a Viking grave mound from 1000 AD, which I bring up solely because Vikings are awesome. With the 6th century came the birth of mathematical analysis in regard to chance. Suddenly, people like Girolamo Cardano were studying the statistical principles upon which dice acted when cast. Several years after his death, and around when Galileo published Leo Pere, which itself contained writings on mathematical chance in dice games, Cardano's Liber de Ludo Allié, or Book on Games of Chance, was finally published. The book, which contained the first systematic computations of probabilities, can also be seen as the first gambling manual. As always, dice-based gambling continued to flourish around the world, from English gambling dens to the 17th century advent of Chohan, the famous Japanese dice game as seen prominently in Japanese media and in every Zatoichi movie ever. The English game Hazard, which was mentioned in the Canterbury Tales, is said to have origins as far back as the Crusades, but the modern American version of the game was introduced to New Orleans in the 19th century by Bernard Xavier Philippe de Marigny de Mandeville. You might know it as craps, which is derived from the local name crapaud, meaning toad, in reference to the traditional stance one takes when playing street craps. It's better known now as the game you play in Vegas when you want to feel like Tony Stark. In 1860, Milton Bradley created the checkered game of life, which actually used a teetotum, a dice-like spinning top, instead of dice to avoid an association with gambling. That game, which later became the game of life, was actually his plan B after the failure of his lithograph company due to, I kid you not, Abraham Lincoln growing his famous beard, thus making Bradley's top-selling lithograph of the presidential nominee obsolete. With the success of the checkered game of life, his company, along with Parker Brothers, which was founded around the same time, went on to publish several of the dice games you grew up with, and which now reside in that one drawer at your parents' house. Which brings us to today. I'm happy to inform you that dice continue to enjoy prolific use in gambling and gaming in our modern world. From hyper-standardized casino dice that are made clear with sharp edges and corners that are true to 1/1000th of an inch, to softer, rounder shop die like mine, which are used mainly for tabletop games. Also, let us know what you thought of the video. Did I get anything wrong? Did I leave anything out? Do you have a dice-related story you want to tell me? Or do you have an idea for the next topic we should cover? Until next time, see you later.
I mean, hey, everybody knows this is the greatest encyclopedia in the world. Help me get a B+.
Why not an A?
Too long. I found so much great information I put it all in. Overkill.